So what are we talking about today? We're talking about how to build a repeatable sales process. And everyone here saw the title of this thing, the 16 steps to building a repeatable sales process. And it's a lot of material. I'm going to be talking a bit quick here, but I promise you, you're going to get everything you need to be able to figure out exactly what your sales process needs to look like in order to hit whatever revenue target you're trying to hit. That's ultimately the goal. That's why we have salespeople, is we want to hit specific targets. We have growth goals, and we need to create a culture where we achieve them. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. There's 16 steps. I'm going to show you exactly how to go through the process of each 16 of the steps to creating a repeatable sales process. I've worked with over 60 B2B software and service companies, and this is the process that I've used for a really long time. Of course, it didn't start off very structured. I've massively simplified everything to make it really actionable for you. But let me give you a quick run through of my background. I got a couple bullet points here because some of you might not know who I am. Real quickly here, so I've worked with over 60 software and service companies, specifically around helping them build a repeatable sales process. I've written 2 Amazon best-selling books, one on cold outreach, another one on leading sales team. If you look at my name on Amazon, you can find them if you're curious. And then finally, I've helped our clients sell over 100 million in software and services. They've raised over 280 million in most of that venture capital. And I've traded over 1,000 salespeople. So I've been around the block quite a bit. And here's what you're going to learn in this presentation. Really 4 key things. 1, how to make sure that you're targeting the right market. This is very important. And a lot of the organizations we work with think they have this right, but they don't. The next is, how do you structure your sales team to actually win market share? Sometimes the biggest lift you can make in your sales organization is changing the structure and or the distribution of different types of reps that you have at your company. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the importance of tracking the right metrics. Hopefully, if any of you follow me, you know that this is one of my favorite topics. Metrics are really important. I'm going to talk about that. And then finally, how to organize your leads so that they get better over time, not worse. If you're doing outbound, especially with outbound, but really any type of even inbound and just sales in general, but especially outbound, if you're not getting better at converting over time, something's wrong. And typically it's operational. I'm going to walk through that today. So let's talk quickly about why this is important now. We mentioned this right at the top of the hour here. Most sales advice that we have learned is dead wrong. More activity is not leading to more sales. In fact, 58% of sales organizations are missing quota. This was a study that was done by Gartner in like 2020. I can't even imagine what it is now. Okay, I don't know if I've met a sales team that has hit quota in a while. It is really a struggle for everybody. And another thing I'll throw out here is more technology is not leading to more sales either. There's more tech stack tool items that we can buy today than ever before. And they all have the same promise. We're going to increase your reps efficiency. They're going to close more deals, yet we're still not hitting quota. So when you look at all these things together, it's very easy to say like, all right, then what do we do? Oh, actually, one more thing. There's more competition today than ever before. And then I'm going to walk through the 16 steps. So who is this for? If you have a sales team and you want to hit your revenue target, this is for you. If you're building a sales team and you want to prevent all of the trial and error, don't jump off. A lot of this stuff, almost all of it applies to you. You want to hit your revenue targets consistently. This is absolutely for you. If you want to be able to scale your sales team, if you want to figure out why your sales team is missing targets so you can actually fix them, this is for you. And also, to get very specific, if you're worried about your customer acquisition costs because your net revenue retention has dropped, this is absolutely for you, because I'm going to show you how you can do more with less. Okay, so before I jump into the 16 steps, I want to make a quick confession here. Building a repeatable sales process is challenging. It takes time and iteration. And sometimes I feel like people oversimplify things. They act like, oh, this is the easiest thing of all time, and it's all hypey and weird. And I don't want to be that person. So I want to say up front, it is difficult, okay? I'm going to massively shortcut it for you, but it is difficult. So if you're feeling that difficulty, you're not alone. It is a difficult process. And there's really 16 steps here. Oh, geez. Okay, I have weird animations. Let's just get all 16 showing. Okay, so we have 16 steps here to building a repeatable sales process. This is all 16. I cannot get through all of these in detail in 30 minutes, but I can cover the ones that I see people make the most mistakes. At the end of this conversation we're about to have, I'm going to give you a PDF that walks through every step, as well as highlight, as well as go into detail about each step and how to do it. It's like 26 pages. You're going to love it. You're going to be, oh my gosh, I can't believe you gave this to me. It's going to be great. But you need to buckle up because we're going to go through 5 today, and they're pretty detailed. And these are the 5 we're going through. My stupid animations again. Okay. We're going to talk about step 2, 4, 5, 11, and 14. Now, these things crescendo. So if you're earlier on in your journey, the earlier steps are going to be the ones that you're going to primarily be focused on, with some exception. I worked with one company that had 100 million in ARR, and their like target markets were all messed up, which was nuts to me. So you can outwork a bad target market sometimes. But anyway, so these are the ones we're going to cover. As we get later on into the steps, they get a little bit more advanced, more for people who have teams already that are operational. But let's jump in immediately here to step number 2, which is deciding on your target vertical. So we all think about total addressable market. And in every market, it gets cut down into potential verticals that you could be targeting. And one of the mistakes I see pretty often is folks focusing on way too many verticals. This even applies to larger companies. Sometimes there's a vertical that just doesn't make sense and you should cut it out. But for earlier companies, you really need to focus on 1, at most 3, but 1 is ideal. So every market can be chunked down into segments or verticals. So an example of this would be if let's say you target appointment-based medical providers. That's a broad target market. It's more the SMB. This is probably a high volume approach you're taking. Well, what do? We just call all service-based medical providers? No, we break that down into chiropractic, dental, private practice MD, optometry. And now you have a list of verticals, and you separate these and you build out what the markets look like for each, right? Now you're immediately probably asking, if I break down my target market into all these little verticals, how do I choose which one that I should be targeting? Especially at the early stage, we run into this a lot. So the first thing that I usually ask is, which vertical do you have the most traction in? This is the obvious one. If 70% of your customers are chiropractors, then pick chiropractors, right? Now, that's pretty obvious. You may have already done that one before. The next here is, which vertical do you have the most experience in? So really early stage, I always ask, do you have friends or family that are optometrists? If so, you probably speak that language better than somebody who knows nobody who's an optometrist. So go that direction and start doing the activity, and then let the data tell you if this is the right market or not. And then finally, which vertical makes logically the most sense. So if dentists are most impacted by the challenge that you solve, then pick dentists, right? So I really encourage everybody here to break down your market into the sub verticals, and then go through and look at each vertical and decide which one you should put the most energy towards. I promise you, it always increases performance because you get really focused around a specific message, a specific problem, but more importantly than all that, a specific buyer. The buyer is everything. I often say the product doesn't matter. The prospect does. So the better you can speak to the buyer, the more effective your sales efforts are going to be. So to continue on this, let's talk about different size of company, because I imagine your solution doesn't work for literally every chiropractor or every dentist in this example. So let's say you want to target chiropractors with clinics between 10 and 30 employees, or dental offices with 30 to 20 employees, optometrists with 15 to 50 employees. You want to really have a good breakdown of where you live. So in that way you can target those people, get folks out that aren't part of that market, but also collect the information of where they land, because then your database gets better. So hopefully, like if you didn't catch that, I want to really reiterate it. Anything that you can't just get from a data provider accurately, which by the way, employee count often is one. If you can't accurately get the information as your team is going through, calling the leads, researching the leads, they need to be logging where they belong in this world. Are they 10 to 30 employees? Are they 50 plus? Are they 100 plus? Are they 1,000 plus? Is this a Fortune 500 company? Whatever it might be. So then that way, your efforts compound over time because you can get more detailed with your targeting, and that detail is accurate. It's really important. And this is more of a struggle for larger target markets than it is for if you target the enterprise of Fortune 500. All right. So now what I will ask you to do for each vertical that you end up picking, including the company size or whatever, maybe it's revenue size, whatever it is for you. Ask yourself these questions. The first is, why is your solution a good fit for this vertical specifically? Has to be specific to the vertical. Why should a company in this vertical invest in your solution now? How does one of your feature help solve a vertical specific challenge? And you repeat that question for 3, 1,000, hopefully you don't have that many, but for features that you have. Features are providing a benefit. Typically it's solving a problem that they have. You need to link these, and in your head, they might be linked, but if your reps don't have them linked, it's going to be disaster because they're not going to be speaking to it correctly. They're going to be like, oh, we do this thing. I was telling my daughter last night, actually, she's 6, maybe early for these conversations, but I said, if you're selling shoes, people aren't buying shoes. They're buying the comfort of walking around in shoes. And she was like, oh, great. But my point is, your sales reps are doing that with features. They're saying, this is a shoe. So I want you to make sure it's very clear. Again, you as a founder might have in your head, your reps don't. And I promise you that, right? Do I need to repeat the 58% of sales organizations already do quota? This is all part of it. It compounds. All right. Step number 4 here is clarifying your go-to-market approach. We're going to get flow charting. I hope you love them because we're going to talk about 2 today. I really break down go-to-market approach into 2 main categories. And this is, I get there's a lot of categories. So right here, 2 main categories I have: marketing led and then sales led. And everyone always goes, what about product led? We're a product led company. Almost all product led companies are marketing led companies. They just shove all of their budget into ad spend to get trial signups and then hope that they convert after the trial. And they try to build products that like increase that conversion. They spend the exact same amount on marketing as anybody else does. So there's exceptions to that, like especially with lower ACV, but for the most part, in the B2B world, a lot of product led companies are marketing led. But okay, let's talk about marketing led first from a traditional sense of, hey, we're going to be running ads, doing organic posting in order to get people to register or sign up or download something on our website. So here's what the flow chart looks like. As you can see, we have some kind of inbound action in the upper left here, where they might have downloaded an asset, they might have requested a demo, maybe they signed up for a webinar that did something, right? And for webinar signups, I usually delay this process till after the webinar, but you get the idea. They downloaded something from your website. The next thing here is we notify the team. Great. Then 2 minutes later, that person's getting a call. 2 minutes. That's my rule. Everyone always says, but Kyle, that's so fast. Should it be that fast? Yes, it should be that fast. And what I would recommend doing is Google the studies they have done around inbound follow-up time. All of the research shows the faster you follow up with somebody once they've taken an inbound action, the higher chance you have of conversion. 2 minutes is what I'm looking for here. And if you have questions, definitely put them in here. I'm going to try to have enough time. I'm doing pretty good right now. Okay, so 2 minutes later, we call. We either book a meeting or we put them in some kind of sequence where we're calling them at a high level, like we're adding, there's a lot of velocity here on the front end in order to get an appointment. If we don't, then we put them into a nurture sequence. That's when marketing comes over. Again, you're going to see this stuff in the guide I give you at the end of this too, so you don't have to screenshot everything and piece together yourself. All right, let's talk about sales led now. What does sales led look like? If we're doing mostly outbound prospecting, it all starts with the list. The list is incredibly important and something you should cherish very closely. You almost want to put it under your pillow every night. And what you're going to do is you're going to distribute that list. And like I said earlier, your reps are going to go through it. And a big part of the initial kind of go through of the list is to qualify it. And then while we're doing that, we're going to book some meetings because we're calling them. We're going to put them in a sequence because we're doing calls, we're doing emails, we're doing LinkedIn, whatever you're doing. And when it finally ends, they're going to be put into a nurture. I'm going to show you how we organize these leads throughout this journey in a minute, but I want you to at least have a high level approach. I can't stress enough on this slide. The list is one of the most important, if not the most important assets. People heavily underestimate the impact of list and operations when it comes to the outbound function. Okay, so the question sometimes becomes, if you're early and you don't have any of this built out yet, or you're just starting to, is how do you choose between the two, marketing led or sales led? Ideally, you don't. Okay, you just do both. That would be the dream. But a lot of times you can't, right, because of resources and stuff. So evaluate your resource, determine which one makes the most sense. I can tell you outbound always works. And that's a very bold claim, but it's 100% true. If it doesn't work, there's something wrong. It's not that outbound didn't work. There's nothing more powerful than having conversations with your prospects. So if you have a team cold calling, they're not booking meetings, there's something wrong. And I promise you, it's not the cold calling. That's not what's wrong. It's you're targeting the wrong market. Your messaging isn't resonating. Your operations are terrible. Your leads are terrible. You have the wrong reps. I can go on forever. But I promise you, it's not the action of picking up a phone and actually talking to your prospect. Are you crazy? That's the most valuable thing you can do. If you can be in person, that's even better. So you have to look at your resources and figure it out. I usually recommend starting with outbound. But if you have the budget for marketing, I think it's probably one of the highest leverage skills you can learn as an early stage founder. All righty. Step number 5. This is team composition. This is what I talked about earlier. Super important here. You need to decide on your team composition. So what roles to hire? And I'm going to give you some situations to help you figure out what is right for you. So do I hire SDRs? Do I not hire SDRs? Do I hire more SDRs and AEs or more AEs and SDRs? I'm going to walk through this right now. So there are a couple of categories here. So the first one, or the first situation, is you're trying to get out of sales and you have limited capital. You are trying to get out of sales and you raised capital in order to do. You have a team and you want to make sure that you have the right ratio of SDR and AE. So if you already developed a team and you're like, gosh, I'm not really sure if I have the right ratio here, those are really the 3 key situations. So if you're trying to get out of sales with limited capital, and the question to ask yourself is, do I have the bandwidth to actually do the sales calls as the founder? If you do, hire an SDR to fill your calendar up. That's going to give you a lot of reps and let you figure out what resonates with the buyers, what doesn't, and you can replace yourself later. If you don't have the bandwidth, maybe you're building the product or something, then you want to hire an AE early on, typically. And these are general rules. If you type in Q&A, your question with more context, I can tell you what it should be for you. All right. Let's say you're trying to get out of sales and you raised capital. Congratulations. You're building a team based on the revenue target you told the board you were going to hit. I've had people come to me with $2 million revenue targets in 12 months, planning to hire 1 SDR and 1 AE. I'm like, guys, you're like dramatically underestimating the amount of work it takes to actually hit these numbers. Congrats. You're hiring a team. I recommend hiring in 2s. So then that way there's some team stuff. There's some competition. Also, you can evaluate them both in the same environment if they start at the same time. Then you have the last one here is you have a team. You want to make sure you have the right ratio of SDRs and AEs. Do the math is really the answer to this question. And I give you what you need to in the guide at the end. In order to do the math, a general heuristic is large total addressable market plus short sales cycle, which is really less than 30 days, equals more SDRs and AEs. Large or medium TAM plus medium length sales cycle, so around 2 to 6 months. Typically a 1-to-1 ratio, and then small TAM and a medium to long sales cycle. It says 2 to 12 months. It's actually 7 to 12 months plus more AEs and SDRs. These are just general rules, right? These get broken all the time, just to give you a little bit of guidance there. All right, step 11.
Hey, Kyle, real quick. We just have one very pointed question to that last point. If you have 10 seconds to answer this one for us, I'll read it back to you. So Ronak asked, what if we're not able to call in the next 2 minutes? The marketing ad that is running is doing very well to get the leads. And the marketing team is worried that if they stop those ads and actually like action the inbound, it'll be really hard to get good results off that conversion later. I guess the gist of this question, like, why is it so important to hit it in 2 minutes? What are the trade-offs, right?
Yeah, so they convert better. I don't think you should shut off ads at all. If the idea is, hey, we have more of a campaign that we use paid advertising, and if we call within 2 minutes, there's not enough time for them to take the action that the campaign is designed to get them to take, then sure, break the rule. But as a general rule here, what I recommend doing is a lead comes in, they downloaded something on the website, we call them. If you can't do it in 10 minutes, I would argue why not? And we need to figure it out. That's an operational thing almost every time. Now, if there's a strategic reason why you don't want to do that, that's fine. The situation always matters. But as a general rule, I try to get it within 2 minutes.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Awesome. Yep. Step 11, set clear expectations for the team. Really important. Really important. The real underlying question of this is, how do you set really good sales targets that people can hit? Really, we try to do this with a bottoms-up model. There's several ways to do this, but we do a bottoms-up model. I'm not going to go through all of this right now, but I want to show you visually what it looks like. Essentially, and I give you access to the sheet, by the way, it's in the PDF with a link to it. You basically put in the numbers, either your estimates or your real numbers. And what the sheet is going to do is work bottoms up to figure out if all of this stuff is true, then with the amount of people that you have, what revenue target you'll attain. And that gives you some guidance on what target you should set. So that's in the sheet. I just wanted to give you a little visual. Your expectations are really important. And if you're early stage and you don't have expectations, you need to make them. It's really critical. I do not believe that you shouldn't set an expectation for a sales team just because you're at the early stage. You don't have historical data. It's lazy. Okay, so the next thing is implementing a lead management process. I'm going to go through this one quickly. Again, it's in the guide. Your reps should be organizing their leads based on their interaction so that outbound efforts improve over time. So we do this with lead statuses. Here's the flow chart. It's in the guide as well. Essentially, what they're doing is as they're calling through, they're putting leads in buckets based on the interaction that they're having. So if the person has never answered the phone, they'll stay in working. If they answered the phone and booked a meeting, they go into that bucket. If they answer the phone someone didn't book a meeting, but they answered the phone, they go in a separate bucket so that over time you can call more people who answered the phone, which means you're talking to more people, which you're going to be getting more deals or getting more meetings booked. There's also disqualified. There's a couple other categories here, but ultimately what we're trying to do is call through, qualify, and bucket people actually answer the phone because we know phone is a good channel for them. Is phone perfect for everybody? No, but that's why you want to do it this way. Again, it's in the guide. You'll be able to go through it in more detail. So why does this work? Why do the 16 steps work? Why do the ones that I showed you work? The real reason is because it covers all important areas that are involved in building a repeatable sales process, which makes it very easy to identify gaps. When you have things structured very simply, it's easy to identify gaps. It also forces you to actually build a process. A lot of people, they makeshift their process, they MacGyver their process, and it doesn't work very well. And then they wonder why. It's because we did this makeshift thing. And so it's really important that you're building a process. Now, to close out here, right now, you're sitting at your computer, you're watching this webinar, and you've heard how this whole thing works, and you're probably believing, hopefully at least, if I did a good job, that a defined process is key to increasing your sales. So if you're trying to build a repeatable sales process, you might be wondering how to do the things I showed you today, as well as all of the 16 steps quickly. And because I'm sitting here being hosted by ARC, I put together something that I think is really fantastic for you. And I do not normally do this. It's what I call the sales effectiveness bundle. I had to give it a name, so I did. And it really consists of 4 things: the sales team Moneyball bundle, sales metrics training, AE fundamentals course, and SDR fundamentals course. So you get everything, frameworks, templates, calculators that you need to build a repeatable sales process and enable your sales reps to be effective. Let me go through each one of them quickly here. The first is the sales team Moneyball bundle. What you're going to learn in this one is how to effectively track prospecting data, how to analyze that prospecting data so you can actually figure out what we need to do to be successful, how to forecast SDR performance and AE performance. So that way you're going to know, hey, at the end of the month, we're most likely to land here. At the end of the quarter, we're most likely to land here. It's critical for being able to properly plan and realize what revenue target you're going to end up hitting. Then, how do we diagnose SDR performance and how do we diagnose AE performance? We have templates. This specifically is a framework. We have calculators to help you do this. So that way you know exactly what's holding your team back from hitting their number. Also, I'm going to show you in this how to perform an analysis across all sales data and model out your sales team growth. So if you're trying to scale up your team or you're building your first team, you can model out your sales team growth to figure out what the team needs to look like, what composition needs to be in order to hit the revenue target that you're setting for that team. The next thing here is a sales metric training. This was very unique because this is actually a recording of a talk that I did at Dan Martell's boardroom mastermind. Very high level mastermind. Each founder in here is doing over 3 million in AR every single year. And he brought me in to teach a couple of things. The main ones are how to create a plan to hit any revenue target, how to identify bottlenecks within your own sales process so you can actually start implementing systems and processes to overcome them, how to fix bottlenecks that are stunting your growth, and then ultimately how to iterate on your sales process. You're also going to get AE fundamentals. What you're going to learn here is how to run a high value discovery call, conduct a demo/sales call that actually converts, close deals consistently, and then master follow-up. So you can give this, it's 42 lessons to your AEs to help them improve their own skills, or you can use it yourself to develop your own training. SDR fundamentals, 38 lessons, essentially the same. I'm going to show you how to create a high converting cold call script, how to write cold emails that actually convert, how to leverage LinkedIn the right way, and how to use video prospecting. It's a lot of stuff, I know, but the thing is, I want to give as many resources as possible so you actually start getting results with this stuff. So it's not playing around and actually have a good year or turn the year around if things aren't mapping out the way that you're hoping. I'm also going to show you tech stack stuff. I forgot about that one. All right. So again, for ARC, I'm doing something a little bit special here because if you were to buy all of these individually from us, it's $1,500. That's standard. All these things get sold independently through different marketing campaigns that we have. I'm not doing any of that today. I also created all these images except the bottom one myself. I'm actually giving it to you for free. So that's why my free thing looks super weird. I'm going to give the whole thing to you for free, and you only have to do one thing, but I'm going to give it to you for free. This whole bundle is specifically designed to help you improve your sales, build your first team, improve your existing team, whichever one of those two you're at, create a repeatable sales process. And honestly, the most important part, hit your freaking revenue target. That's ultimately what we're trying to do here. So if all of that is interesting to you, if you fall into that category, it's specifically for you. That's why I'm speaking to you here. And here's how to get it. Very simple. What you're going to do is you're going to schedule an interview. Is that the greatest name for a next step of all time? Yes, it is. What's going to happen on this is I'm actually going to interview you on your current state. I'm going to share insights on where I think your biggest opportunities for growth are. And I'm going to give you key focus areas so you can start improving your sales efforts fast. This is not a sales call. This is me sitting down with you, giving you actual insight. If you fall into the 10% of people who fall into this, I'm going to schedule an objective session with you at a different time where we can go deep into your actual goal and what it takes to hit it. And then I'll also walk through the program. Doesn't make sense for everybody, but for the few people it does, I think you're going to find it interesting. So if that's interesting to you, I'm going to post it in the chat here. All you have to do is go to gtm.vouris.com/sales-effectiveness. Quick recap. You go to the link, schedule your next interview. Sales Team Moneyball bundle is going to get sent to you immediately. You get instant access to it. You get instant access to the sales metrics training, the AE fundamentals course, and the SDRs fundamentals course. So you've watched the entire presentation here. You want to increase your sales. You know that this is an excellent value. If you've gone to any of my other things, I don't normally give this kind of stuff away. So take advantages of the bonuses, the Sales Moneyball bundle, the sales metrics training, the AE fundamentals course, and the SDR fundamentals course. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what I have for you.